This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so happy Monday. Today is June 10th. And as always, everything that we're going to be talking about is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. All right, so BYND, I mean, it's just incredible. We closed at 138.65 on Friday, and we hit our highs all the way up here this morning at pretty much 158. So one thing that we did see as this thing was kind of running up, I mean, the orders are just pretty much non-existent. You can see, 500, 100, 200, just not very high. But we really didn't get as much buy as you would have expected for the amount of the move that we've seen coming into the pre-market. Just coming up right now, you can see 152. We got a little bit of a burst, but on our way back down, we definitely saw some profit taking coming back in. So we have a little bit of a staircase, got kind of an iffy trigger, and then that buying at 152. We're going to definitely be expecting a pullback underneath that 152 level before we're really going to be able to see it go anywhere else. Now, once again, with a stock that's moving this much, it's funny because TLRY is actually on my list, and this is just reminds me a lot of it. Not moving as quickly as TLRY, but it just keeps making these monster moves. Coming under that 152 after that, let's look for a trigger back up. And even though we have three prints that came in, and they're pretty hefty. I mean, if you look 3,500, 3,000, 1,900, after that, we need to see more buying that comes back because, based off of, once again, just this gigantic move up, there really wasn't as much buying as I'd like to see behind it. So just keep that in mind. This is going to be a very, very advanced stock. And when I say advanced, I don't mean actually reading the tape, because reading the tape on it's really not that hard, considering the fact that we don't really get a huge amount of those bigger prints out there. You don't really get the, as much of a mix as something that you would see like on an AMD or a stock just with those thicker orders. So certainly going to be at the top of the list coming into the morning. Next thing looking at is NBY. Oops. So NBY, one thing I really do like about it, now this is going to be one of those harder stocks. You can see it's already trading 3.3 million shares. On average, it usually trades about 185,000 shares. So overall, it's certainly showing way more than when it typically would. And the one thing that I really do like about it is that we got this push back up, and the push up was on some pretty good volume. Now, the prints were very, very mixed. If you come over to you'd see the 125 level is one thing that I really did like. Right underneath 125, you could see 120 to, pretty much 124. We did get some really nice new buying, and that's, once again, it's, right at near those highs. But once again, I'm not worried about the selling part of it, because you could see, we have a bunch of selling. The variables are definitely there. It's holding very well. We need to obviously get above this 105 print line and then actually be able to hold it. But there is a lot of new buying that we've seen on this move, and the move up was definitely pushing on some really good volume. So as long as we hold right about here, right about that 85 level, and then, ironically, that's where this trigger started. As long as we hold it right above that 85 level, going to be watching. And, once we know we have the buying above, we just really need a trigger to push once again above 105 and be able to get some type of follow through to continue. PRVB, next thing looking at. So you are able to get shares to short this if you're on TradeStation, which is certainly something that you want to look at. Another one, though, I'm not really happy with the buying that I've seen coming into it, because, I mean, this is a really gigantic move, and you can see a lot of the moves started on almost nothing. You're talking about, under, 10,000 shares, which I'm just not a big fan of at all. And then once we started pushing towards that 13 level, towards our highs, we really didn't get much that came back up there. So the variables are definitely there. We see that it's, it made a push on some decent volume, not very good volume. But once again, it's holding within this consolidation, which is one of the best, one of the biggest things that we want to see with these cheaper stocks coming back in. But we just need a show of hand. I don't see it yet. I don't have any, as of right this second, based off of what we have, there's no reason in the world we don't see this thing just completely crash underneath this 1180, where we saw that the biggest burst of selling this morning. And then you can see again 1150, we have a burst of sell prints that came back in there as well, that it kind of pushed up from. So I don't really see the buying that I would like to see coming back in there, but once again, it has all the variables, and with these cheaper stocks, excuse me, the volume a lot of times will just come in out of nowhere and kind of like right what we just saw right here. I like this buying that we just saw coming in at 12. Once again, we're going to need a pullback underneath, as always, and before we would, look for the trigger and push back above. How about those Apple? It's everything. So how about those Facebook and Apple moves over the weekend? It's every single thing that out there. All our everyday stocks. If you look, Facebook. If you look at NVDA. If you look at BABA. All our everyday stocks made a push. Tesla at 210 again. Everything made a push, but there's not really much substance behind it. To be completely honest, I don't really see that much at all. Question we had huge selling in Bob at 150, then huge buying above. I'm trying to understand the stories better. Does that have to reach 150 again at some point? Yes, absolutely. But when we have buying that comes in afterwards, that means they were looking for a move back, towards that upside, and that's exactly what ended up happening. So when you find your dominant market maker, the other prints you have to look they're pretty much they're riding it. Okay, they're looking to make the move, and they were completely right. So overall, yes, does need to come back down underneath. So next thing looking at this morning is TLRY, which we have not talked about in a long time. Okay, but overall, this is another one. I'm not in any way excited about what this thing made its push on. Now, you got to keep in mind it was, before 7:30 when we were pushing back up there, but there was just no real volume. If you look at 7:30 right at 41.50 and 46.60, we really, most of our bigger prints were selling. Now, 43.50, we have a little bit of buying that came back in, but it kind of overall looks like it's just not really there yet. We need it's a little show of hand, but it's just not what I really be looking for coming into, especially into the morning on something that just doesn't really have that much volume that's being traded yet. So once the market opens 43.50, we're already, we're essentially we haven't pulled back underneath there as much as we need to yet, and then it has selling underneath. So another one where it's just a little bit mixed so far. I want to see something that's a little bit more definitive. And then on my side list, I have ONCE. And the reason that ONCE is on my side list is because of the fact that I'm just kind of worried about it just not trading. On average, you can see 407,000 shares it trades. It just does not trade a lot at all. Now, we're almost there, so it's certainly something that we need to look at. But overall, 109.20, there was a little bit of buying that came in before we started our before we started our weekend, and then just this morning, just not enough there yet. And like I said, my one worry about it is that once the market opens, it's just not really going to do much trading. But based off of this big of a move, closed at 109.35 all the way down to 90, we're going to have to certainly pay attention to it. And then once again, if it just doesn't trade, then we just move on. We're not going to pay attention. But with that big of a move, certainly something that we're going to be looking at. What's up with NVDA? Okay, another one. Okay, I feel like we go over this all the time. Guys, it averages $5.13. We have great selling that came in at that 140 level. All right, so to jump up, guys, how many days would it take for this stock on average? How many days would it take for this stock to be underneath 140? And if you look at what it actually jumped up over the weekend, nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's no volume whatsoever into it. So we know it had to pull up. Very, very simple. I mean, we had a whole bunch of selling, not only at 140, but on its way down to 140. We know it had to go up. I mean, it's following the rules exactly. Now what we're going to be looking for is for that volume to really kind of push it back down. If you look on the daily, we do have a little bit of a bullish consolidation going, but yes, BYND was absolutely covered. Number one stock going to be looking at this morning. All right, guys, anything else out there that I missed? Nope. All right. So let's get ready for the morning. Remember, it is Monday, so just make sure we got to wait for the volume. That's it. We have some real good stuff out there, some real nice setups, but we got to wait for that volume to come in and just make sure, especially summer trading on a Monday, we need to make sure that we get our show of hand before we jump the gun on anything. All right. I'll talk to everyone in the chat and happy trading.